Have you ever felt like your mind was capable of so much more than we give it credit for? Like there's a whole universe inside us just waiting to be explored.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, get ready to dive deep because today on The Quantum Soul, we're tackling a question that might just turn your understanding of reality upside down.
Okay.
What if your mind is more than just your brain?
Wow, that's a big one.
It is a big one.
It's a question that has intrigued philosophers and scientists for centuries.
For sure. And we're going to unpack some groundbreaking research and explore the mind-boggling implications it has for all of us.
Yeah, and for our viewers.
Yeah, we'll be drawing from some fascinating sources, including recent scientific papers, philosophical discussions, and the personal insights of Dr. Julio Perez,
Okay.
a renowned neuroscientist who also embraces spiritual exploration.
So he's bridging the gap there.
He is.
Yeah.
Which is so fascinating.
His unique perspective, bridging the worlds of rigorous scientific inquiry and open-minded spiritual exploration, offers us a truly fascinating lens through which to examine this complex topic.
Absolutely. So let's start by addressing the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The materialist view.
Okay.
Which says our consciousness is simply a byproduct of our brain activity.
Right.
Neurons fire.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts appear.
Yeah.
Case closed.
Right. That's the prevailing view in many scientific circles, but it struggles to explain what philosopher David Chalmers calls the hard problem of consciousness.
The hard problem of consciousness.
Yeah.
How do physical processes in the brain create the richness of our subjective experiences?
Right.
How do neurons firing give rise to the feeling of love, the awe of gazing at a starry sky, or even the taste of chocolate?
It's really hard to pin that down, isn't it?
It's like trying to explain the taste of an apple by describing its chemical composition.
Yeah.
You can list all the molecules and compounds, but that doesn't capture the actual experience of biting into a crisp, juicy apple.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Near-death experiences, or NDEs, throw a real wrench in the materialist machinery. People who have had NDEs often describe experiences that seem to defy our conventional understanding of how the mind and brain work.
So things like out-of-body experiences, feelings of profound peace, or even encounters with deceased loved ones.
Exactly.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It might sound far-fetched, but there's actually a growing body of research dedicated to understanding these phenomena.
Wow.
Researchers in Brazil, for instance, have published studies in reputable journals like Revista de Psiquiatria Clínica and Olher Digital examining the implications of NDEs.
And what's particularly striking is that some individuals report having accurate visual perceptions while they were clinically dead.
Yeah.
So they could see what was happening around them, even when their brains weren't functioning.
That's what some of the research suggests.
Wow, so imagine if consciousness isn't completely tethered to the brain as we've always assumed.
Right.
What if our minds are capable of operating independently of our physical bodies?
That would change everything, wouldn't it?
That would change everything.
Yeah.
This is making me rethink everything I thought I knew about the nature of reality.
Me too.
And for anyone watching who finds this as mind-blowing as we do, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Quantum Soul channel for more deep dives into these incredible topics.
Yes, please do that.
Okay, so NDEs definitely challenge our assumptions about the mind and brain.
They really do.
But there's other evidence that points to the mind being more than just a product of brain activity.
I think about this.
Okay.
There are fascinating cases of people with significant brain abnormalities who exhibit surprisingly normal cognitive function.
Okay.
It's like their minds are finding ways to compensate or even operate independently of the physical limitations of their brains.
You're reminding me of that incredible case published in Science magazine, Do We Really Need the Brain?
Oh, yeah.
It talked about a man with hydrocephalus, a condition where there's excess fluid in the brain.
Right.
This man had very little brain matter, but spoke 7 languages.
Exactly. It challenges the notion that intelligence is directly proportional to brain size. Wow.
And there are many other documented cases that defy our traditional understanding of how the brain works.
It's like our minds have a remarkable capacity to adapt and even thrive in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
This makes you wonder, what else are our minds capable of that we haven't even begun to explore?
That's a great question, and it brings us to a fascinating theory proposed by William James,
All right.
known as the transmission theory.
Transmission theory.
He suggested that maybe the brain doesn't produce consciousness, but rather acts as a filter or receiver for a broader field of consciousness that already exists.
So it's like our brains are like radios tuning into a universal consciousness that permeates everything.
That's a helpful analogy.
Okay.
Imagine what if we're all connected to a vast network of consciousness that extends far beyond our individual minds.
That's a mind-blowing concept.
It is, isn't it?
And there's even more to consider.
What's that?
Research has shown that there's a delay between a physical stimulus and our conscious awareness of it.
So our minds could be influencing our perception before our brains even register what's happening.
This phenomenon, known as delayed perception of consciousness, is truly remarkable.
Wow.
Some studies suggest that our minds might be shaping our reality before our brains catch up.
Now, this might sound unbelievable to some viewers, but it's essential to remember that science is constantly evolving.
Oh, for sure.
What was once considered fringe or impossible can become accepted fact as we uncover new evidence and challenge our assumptions.
Absolutely. And speaking of groundbreaking research, we can't forget the work of Nobel laureate Roger Sperry.
Okay.
His studies on split brain patients revealed some truly astonishing insights.
Why, split brain patients are individuals who have had the connection between their two brain hemispheres severed.
And Sperry's research indicated that each hemisphere could function independently, almost as if they had separate minds.
Oh, wow.
Imagine two centers of awareness coexisting within a single brain.
It's like we have multiple selves within us, each with its unique perspective and capabilities. This raises a whole new set of questions about the nature of identity and what it truly means to be one person.
It certainly challenges our traditional understanding of selfhood.
It does.
What's fascinating is that Sperry's work could offer us a micro-scale example of the mind being bigger than the brain.
So if there's a possibility for multiple minds within our own brains, could it be that our minds extend beyond our physical bodies altogether?
It's a possibility worth exploring.
It is.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the theoretical implications of this mind-blowing research.
Yeah.
But let's bring it down to earth a bit.
Okay.
How might these insights impact our lives in a practical way?
That's a great question. And that's where Dr. Pierce's work becomes especially relevant.
Yeah, how so?
He's done extensive research on the impact of trauma on the brain and the incredible power of psychotherapy to help heal and rewire neural pathways.
You know how trauma can feel like it's stuck in your body, like a weight you can't shake off? Well, Dr. Pierce's research using fMRI scans shows this is literally true. Trauma can leave a lasting imprint on our brains, making us more prone to anxiety, fear, and even physical ailments.
But the good news is that therapy can help rewrite that story.
It can.
Dr. Pierce's fMRI studies have shown that therapy can shift brain activity from fear centers to areas associated with narrative and understanding.
Wow.
It's like therapy helps us make sense of our experiences and regain control of our minds and bodies.
Exactly. In his book, Razones e Práticas, Dr. Pierce delves into the profound influence of language on our psychology. The words we use, the stories we tell ourselves, they all shape our mental processing and ultimately our identity.
It's like we have the power to change our brains by changing our thoughts and beliefs.
We do.
This is incredibly empowering.
It really highlights the incredible plasticity of the brain and the power of the mind to influence its physical structure.
Right.
And this is where the concept of beliefs becomes crucial.
Okay.
Our beliefs, both conscious and unconscious, can either empower us or limit us in profound ways.
It's like that analogy we discussed earlier about the car appearing to move backward at a green light because the driver is distracted. Our beliefs can create similar illusions in our lives, holding us back from reaching our full potential.
Precisely, if we believe we're incapable or unworthy, we might unconsciously sabotage our own success.
Right.
But if we cultivate empowering beliefs, we can unlock incredible possibilities.
This is all so fascinating. If you're finding this exploration as valuable as we are, consider subscribing to the Quantum Soul channel and sharing this episode with someone who might benefit from it.
That's a great idea.
We've been exploring the idea that the mind might be more than just our brains. And honestly, it's raising more questions than answers for me.
That's the beauty of deep exploration. It's
Yeah.
not about finding all the answers,
Right.
but about opening ourselves up to new possibilities and challenging our old ways of thinking.
So true. And speaking of challenges,
Yeah.
we can't ignore the state of the world today.
Right.
There's so much trauma, conflict, and division.
Yeah, it's
It feels like we're at a tipping point.
a deeply troubling time, and Dr. Pierce has expressed serious concern about the potential collapse of mental health systems as trauma rates continue to escalate globally.
It's heartbreaking to see the impact of this trauma on individuals and communities.
It is.
It feels like we're losing our sense of connection and empathy for one another.
And that's precisely what makes Dr. Pierce's message so timely and important.
Okay.
He emphasizes the power of virtues like generosity, empathy, and humility as antidotes to this crisis.
Okay.
His message is simple yet profound. Be good.
It sounds so basic,
I
right?
know.
But in a world that often rewards selfishness and aggression, choosing kindness and compassion can feel revolutionary.
It requires inner strength and a willingness to challenge the status quo. And maybe, just maybe, cultivating these qualities allows us to tap into that deeper dimension of ourselves that we've been exploring, a mind that's not limited by the confines of the brain.
What if by developing our inner world, our capacity for love and connection, we can create a ripple effect that extends outward healing not only ourselves, but the world around us?
It's a beautiful and empowering thought, and it brings us full circle to our initial question. What if the mind isn't bound by the physical limitations of the brain?
We might not have all the answers, but by asking these questions, exploring the evidence, and daring to imagine new possibilities, we open ourselves up to a whole new way of being in the world.
And who knows what we might discover along the way? This journey of exploration is an ongoing one, and it's a journey we can all take together.
If you've been inspired by this deep dive, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who might be on a similar path of seeking and questioning.
Yes, please do.
And for those who want to continue exploring these fascinating ideas, there are 2 videos on your screen. Click on one to continue your journey. Thank you for joining us on The Quantum Soul, and until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep